Hello, everybody, and thank you for listening to another episode of the No Fluff MSP Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Tahir Hamed. Got my co-host here,
Stephen Badorf. Welcome back.
the legend. Dude, Stephen is on a freaking roll. Seeing where Stephen was, almost 3 years ago now?
I guess so.
Almost 3 years ago.
That's
Seeing
crazy.
where he was, I mean, he was already impressive, which is why I hired him immediately out of the internship. But seeing where he was to where he is today, I'm like, damn. Like, Steven's like a whole nother person.
I came in, it was like, this guy sucks.
This
And now
guy
it's like,
sucks.
this guy's kind of okay.
You've gone from suck to kind of okay.
I'll take it, right?
No, it's so cool. Like the stuff I'll throw at Steven, like, all right, we need to learn how to do branding. You know, like there's just these big, massive things I throw at Steven, and like he's been able to he now has a team, a pretty large team, and he's haphazardly learned to manage people extremely well.
Yeah, kind of was just like trial by fire. in the early
Totally.
phases.
And like seeing the project boards, how well they're organized, how people are just totally bought in and working all day, every day towards a shared mission. I'm like, I didn't teach Steven any of that. Like he just kind of like, you know what? I'm going to figure it out. So yeah, it's really cool to see. So for everybody that is an MSP Camp member, all the cool new stuff we're doing, everything on the site, basically most of the membership side of things is Steven now. Like I'm so far out of it at this point because Steven is so far, has come so far. What's great is Steven pings me. He's like, hey, we've got these 3 campaigns we're working on. And me and him will just sit together for a couple hours. We will just brainstorm and try and be as creative as we can. And he kind of takes from there. And to see the output, like the veterinary campaign recently, we met for an hour on that. We kind of went into like, okay, what are the core themes? Like, how do we really get the attention? What's the call to action? Blah, blah, blah. And then seeing it all unfold over that next month was it was so impressive. Like, cool. You need an hour and a half of my time to create something incredible. So good shit. It's super important to have good people on your team. I can't stress that enough. We've unfortunately had to let go of people at MSP Camp. I've definitely had to let go of people at Alltech. But when you have somebody good, you hold on tight.
Thanks, Tahir.
You don't necessarily have to pay them well, but you do know.
And that's our episode.
And that's it. Thanks for coming. We'll see you on the next one.
I appreciate it.
No, it's true though. So just love it. And then, Genesis and Maddie, just seeing everybody in the roles they're in. We've got a 5th employee starting now. Obviously, we've got quite a few contractors in the Philippines. So it's cool. It's cool seeing the whole thing evolve. I know we just did a camp update on last episode, so we're not going to bore you with that again. Just throwing that out there. So
Yeah, I wrote in the script. Tahir compliments me a little bit at the beginning, 5 to 10 minutes, and then we start the episode.
I've been reading right off the Word document. Like I'm kind of ready to get into the episode. I can't believe you wrote all of that. But anyway, cool, y'all. Hey, thanks for coming back. We've decided we are never going to skip another week ever again. And
Don't clip that.
It's not like
Or do, yeah.
It's not like we've skipped that many weeks or anything, but definitely over the holidays, there were some skips. We've definitely done some skips.
We got a little lax at some points, yeah.
And there's a couple things I realized. One, like there are 500 people every week that tune in, which is kind of mind blowing. But also when I think about my podcasts that I listen to, like All In podcasts, like when they skip a week, I'm like, oh no, I really wanted to hear from you guys.
You keep like checking the app to see if like maybe they're just a little bit late or something. But,
and I'm like, damn, kind of annoyed with them. Like, dude, come on. Like, I really like what you guys have to say. Like, why'd you skip? And I didn't even realize that people kind of look to us in that way.
Integrated into a routine. So when it's broken, you notice. Yeah.
So that's the first reason. Second reason, I had a great conversation with Steve. I'm not sure if Steve wants me to use his last name, but he knows who he is. And this is kind of mind blowing. And the level of appreciation I had hearing him say this was like through the roof. His Saturday routine is he gets up with his fiance, they get a cup of coffee, and Saturday morning they play the podcast.
Which is crazy, yeah.
I mean, when he said that, I was like, we literally cannot skip another week. If for Steve alone, we cannot miss another week. That'd be so lame. Like their marriage starts falling apart because they don't have the routine. No, I'm just kidding.
Just snowball, yeah.
It just gets worse. Like he ends up on the streets. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is great. And Steve, I think we're going to play a romantic song for you now. I have it here on the little soundboard here. No, I'm just joking. I don't have, but I'm so glad that we're part of y'all's routine. I hope that made you laugh a little bit because you are awesome. He is currently a member and we're helping him with some cool branding stuff and everything else. So So for those two reasons alone, we will never skip another week. Even if it's for 5 minutes, me and Steven just coming in and shoot the shit for a second. So, all right. Well, Steven, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about timing in marketing, and specifically our little phrase that you made up for it. But I've actually never heard the original phrase you put there. The time in market beats the timing in the market.
Okay.
No. So it might just be like an older phrase, but as I read through the notes for it too, all the content makes sense.
Yeah. So the phrase is time in the market beats timing the market. And anybody that has investments or really anybody has typically heard that quote. I don't remember who said it. I'm going to say Warren Buffett said it just because I'm going to say that. I don't know if that's true or not. But I kind of made a tweak on it on a recent LinkedIn post that didn't get as much love as I expected. But it's the tweak I made is time in the marketing beats timing the marketing. Because just like time in the market beats timing the market, it's the exact same thing for marketing. I think oftentimes we get excited about marketing. We go through phases where we've read a book or we really want to grow our business, so we get really engaged with marketing for like a quarter. And then we don't see the results. We've spent money, we get frustrated, and then we say marketing doesn't work. Or we bail on it. Or we just hire an expensive, cold calling company that maybe not get the results we want, right? So we need to understand that when we commit to marketing our business, and if you're the marketing coordinator or you're the owner, whoever you are, understand that this is a commitment. Mm-hmm. And the thing that Tom always said, which I just am so appreciative to this day, and I know I've said it on the podcast quite a few times, but he always said it's a marathon. From the moment he hired me, he said, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I like that he had that long-term view of what marketing was.
Absolutely.
But it also, from the marketing coordinator's perspective, it helped me relax.
Puts you at ease. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put me at ease just hearing you say it. Where it's just like you can settle into the role.
Yeah.
And not feel, obviously we'll talk about it in the episode too, but if you're putting in these long processes, you're trying to get ads running, you're building cold email, that sort of thing. Not feeling I have to send out these emails, and these first 4 emails I send, I need a lead or I'm failing at my job. Yeah. Knowing that you're nurturing it over the long term. Mm-hmm. It does a lot. I think it was pretty similar to how you phrased it when I came on too, when I first started, and that helped kind of get used to all the different pieces of marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause we're hiring our 5th employee here, and I'm not hiring with adding that investment on for a few months. I'm saying I've now hired this person. This is a new investment I'm making with the business long term. And that person is not going to pay for themselves right away. They might not pay for themselves for quite some time, but it's a commitment I am making to grow and to help our clients grow. Our mission statements grow by growth. And to do that, we need to get people to help our clients grow. So yeah, I just love that he said that. And that's just a different framing of this. Time in the marketing beats timing the marketing. So that is kind of our phrase for today. Because sometimes it can feel like we're spinning our wheels at times. It really can in the MSP marketing, B2B space in general. It took 13 months when I was at Alltech of grinding before we finally started to see results from our marketing efforts. There was some somewhat early wins, but I couldn't really say it was marketing. It was okay, yeah, I did meet that person at this event or whatever. But it took 13 months, and I almost quit Alltech twice. So for the marketing coordinators right now who are this is too frustrating, and you're thinking about oh gosh, this isn't working. That was me twice, and thank God I did not quit, because where I'm at today is a testament to not quitting. So
it's the 13 months at Alltech. That was doing the whole market mix. That wasn't just focusing on 1 or 2 things. I was doing
a lot of
the stuff. Yeah.
I was doing a lot of different things. I was probably spread a little too thin, but they all started hitting at different times.
Gotcha.
Some specifics. So emails were always an important part of my marketing early on. A lot of cold emailing, but all of a sudden in emailing to our current clients for upsells and newsletters, just keeping them engaged, which helped us get more referrals. So those were some of the early wins that I was talking about. But all of a sudden, the email campaigns, they started having higher open rates, higher click-through rates. And these are cold emails. They weren't going the down direction. They were going the up direction. So it was it's only a matter of time, right? My personal LinkedIn started gaining traction. I remember I would see people in Lakeland, they were like, dude, you're LinkedIn famous now, because I was doing all these videos that really started getting a lot of traction. That was earlier when it was actually easier to get organic growth on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Our website analytics started trending heavily in the right direction. I was starting to see, and that's important for any marketing coordinators, make sure you make sure you know what your analytics are. Like if you're flying blind, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I know marketing get it, we're creatives, but like we have to understand where the analytics are going, or we don't know whether things are working or not.
Yeah, even if the analytics are going down and you don't necessarily want to see that, you need to know so that you can flip it in the other direction.
100%. Just like our SEO clients, we give a report every single month. Yeah, it takes a lot of time to do those reports. It takes a lot of effort to those reports. And sometimes on a minor, usually not as much, there are bad things in the report. Well, guess what? I'm showing it to the client anyway. It don't matter.
Yeah.
It does not matter. Those reports are coming. That's the same thing we need to feel when we're looking at our reports for our internal marketing. So those events we were holding, you know, they were laughable at first. I remember our first event, there was like 8 people. And 7 were clients and 1, I think, was like my brother, right? So, but then they got bigger and they got better and they got more fruitful. All of that content we thought that wasn't landed, starting converting, like that pricing page I wrote, like started getting all this traction. And then now all of a sudden, oh, someone reached out on it. Those chamber connections I had made, those groups I was part of, they started providing warm introductions to people I wanted to meet. So all of these little things that we were doing within our marketing that just, I felt like I was spinning.
Yep.
I was doing it, and I was taking the recommendations, and I was like studying, and I was like going, and then like no leads for a while. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what do I have to do?
Yep.
And then they started to hit. And then they started to hit again. And then they started hitting. I got a 5,000 MRR contract, which just paid for all of the efforts for 13 months and more. And then again and again. And it all became black after 13 months. And the trajectory Alltech was on from that 13-month point until we ended up leaving was nuts. I mean, it was just a straight line up. Mm-hmm. Because we never slowed down. Time in the marketing. And that can kind of get us to another point on this. It's like we hear campaign. Like, what does MSP Camp do? We create campaigns. And so sometimes that leads people to believe, okay, I can run one campaign and I will win.
Yeah.
But campaigns are meant to happen right after the other. Mm-hmm. They're meant to go from this one to this one to this one to this one.
Yeah, that's why we're adding so many, basically. Yeah. Right? So they were not running out of campaigns to run based on the verticals you're specifically aiming at or the different services.
Exactly.
Because I know it would have been easy at Alltech to be like, oh, we just ran a great cybersecurity campaign. Let's rest for a bit, that sort of thing. But it's the same thing. Like we just had the fireside chat with Stephen Young, and he was saying like when he stopped calling, even like on a Friday, he doesn't call on a Friday. His next week suffers, that sort of thing, like losing that momentum. And I think it's really similar with this in marketing, where it's like getting that momentum requires those months of it feeling like nothing happening, feeling like you're just like sending emails into the void.
Yeah.
Because eventually, I mean, you're going to build that reputation and people are going to respond to it.
Yep. The flywheel.
Yeah, the flywheel. We haven't used the flywheel in a while. That used to be the main buzzword.
Well, Steven stopped letting me use the word flywheel.
I did, because it would jinx us.
It would jinx us. It's funny because, I mean, I felt the flywheel at Alltech. Like, I remember when it happened, I was like, holy shit, we're on a flywheel right now. And we were. That was it. And so at MSP Camp early on, there were multiple times where I was like, dude, we're hitting the flywheel. And then like all of a sudden things would stagnate. And so Steven was like, dude, can you just stop saying it?
You can think about it. You can imagine the flywheel. Just don't say it out loud.
So for those listening, maybe don't think you hit the flywheel until you are certain you're hitting the flywheel.
That's right.
I get it. We just want to get growing right away. We want the magic pill silver bullet sauce. We want the magic pill silver bullet sauce.
Well said.
But there's a reason you're listening to this podcast. There's a reason I repeat over and over and over again. You have to be dedicated and slightly obsessed with growth, because that's where everyone else quits. And if you are willing to go past where everyone else quits, that's where the money's made. That's where the money's made. And that takes an obsession. Mm-hmm. I mean, it takes an obsession. Like I think about jujitsu all the time. 90% of people quit jujitsu when they're a white belt because it's fucking hard. And you're just getting your ass kicked and you're going over and over again and you're getting your ass kicked over and over and over again. You're not getting any better. It just feels like such a grind. And then you get your blue belt. And not only are you kicking everybody's ass that's a white belt, but you are highly competitive with people that are purple belts and brown belts. And so you hit this threshold and it's only up from there. Once you're a blue belt, you actually have a much higher likelihood of hitting a black belt than anyone just starting Jiu-jitsu, it seems obvious, but like you're significantly higher percentage. That's a lot with marketing. Once you start getting these early marketing wins, as you may already have, or maybe you're waiting for that, you are significantly more likely to invest more time and energy into marketing because you've got that blue belt of marketing. You got those wins to say, oh shit, this works. I just need to do more of it.
Yeah, and you're not going to lose the good habits and foundation you built in that earlier stage by building the momentum of it.
100%. That's such a good point.
Once you're on that higher level, like you are there, and even if like you slacked off a little bit, you know everything when you want to start again.
And then it becomes all about refinement and results.
Yep.
If there was a magic pill to immediately start growing or a magic pill to immediately become a blue belt, then this wouldn't be such a pain point for MSPs and honestly most businesses, not just MSPs. Like I know we're talking, this is an MSP specific podcast, but like talk to most of your business owner friends or people that you know have a business. Like growth is number one, marketing is number one issue for almost every industry, not just MSP. This is just vertical we're all obsessed with. But it's a thing because it's hard. And so that's why we have to continue to get engrossed in learning how and getting better at it. So now that I've sufficiently bummed you out, let's kind of move to something a little more positive, right? The reality of marketing. So on the flip side, everything works.
Yeah, I feel like we've been preaching that for a bit now too, where it's just like, what we talked about recently, like, was the brand book, there was something specific where we were like, oh, this isn't going to work, or it was like ads or something that was happening internally. We're like, oh, this probably doesn't work. And like now that we've started to do it, it's like, oh, we were just kind of moving away from the difficulty of actually learning the skill and then implementing it into our marketing mix.
Yep.
But it's all achievable. Yeah.
100%. Cold email works. I see MSPs. That's the other good thing is I've talked to like hundreds of MSPs now. I see so many MSPs using cold emails to get leads. Events work. I see so many MSPs that use really awesome events to not only get leads, but close deals. So events work. Advertising works. We've literally gotten result after result after result for MSPs with our advertising efforts. Other MSPs that are just doing advertising on their own, it works. Cold calling works. I know Stephen Young is a great example of that. What is it, 8 appointments a month? Something crazy.
I mean, he said there was somewhere they're pushing for like 20 a month sort of thing. And that's like their peak of it.
It's nuts.
And it's only going to increase, yeah.
Yeah. So cold calling works. Direct mail works. I know so many MSPs. I hear it all the time. Be like, oh, direct mail doesn't work. It's like, cool. Well, I literally had an MSP tell me this week that the process they're using with our direct mail is getting them leads. So direct mail works. Going to conferences works. I have a direct measurable ROI on going to conferences when I was at an MSP. Networking works 100%. Direct ROI, going to networking events, getting to know people in the right way. Staying in contact with them, making sure you're posting on LinkedIn so they know what you do and staying top of mind. Networking works. SEO works. Oh my God, SEO works. Lead magnets work. Door knocking works. Everything works. They all work.
Yeah.
It all works.
There really is. I like that you mentioned where it was like, now that like at MSP camp, it's so nice like hearing people say what's working for them and like what they're specialized in, that sort of thing. Because before it was like, we're at Alltech, we're like, oh, these things work for Alltech. We'd always have to like talk about that. And now it's like, oh, we've heard like this MSP is killing it with direct mail pieces. This MSP focuses entirely on cold emails, getting X appointments a month. Like, it's just so nice to see it proven that everything works because we're hearing different things from different people in different areas, and we can talk outside of just our own personal experience.
So insightful. And I could not agree more. So much at Alltech, I was like, I don't know if that works as well. Because I was doing certain things. I was comfortable in the things I liked. I like doing video. I like doing inbound. I like doing website. I like doing SEO. Like there's things I liked, and that's what I knew worked.
Yeah.
But now you're right, having such a diverse portfolio of friends and MSPs that are doing this and reporting back.
Because I would remember like it'd be like something like, oh, video would be doing great for Alltech. And it's like, is this just because Lakeland loves video or something like that? Like maybe it's just the area I'm at. Maybe it's just the businesses around us. But then like hearing like, oh, it worked all the way across the country, that sort of thing, in a different country entirely.
Yeah.
It gives a lot of credence to the theory.
It's also made me significantly more confident since we started MSP camp. Like it's made me way more confident when I'm talking to MSP. I used to always be so like, oh man, marketing is very hard. Like it's hard. But now I'm like, no, that's just going to work. Yeah. I mean, if you're willing to be consistent and willing to commit to it, which tactics you're going to commit to, throw them in your strategy, it's going to work. It's going to work. I'm way more confident now. Way more, because part of me was like, man, we grew Alltech a lot. Was it, maybe it was a fluke, like maybe we got lucky, like maybe it really was the economy, and then we grow more in a down economy. I'm like, oh wait, no, I guess it's not the economy. Like, okay, like there's these imposter syndrome things you feel about yourself, and what might have worked for you. But now seeing it through the eyes of so many other MSPs, it's like, cool, I don't have to just talk about my experience anymore.
Yeah.
We don't just have to talk about us and Alltech and what happened there. We can just see what other MSPs are doing. So we need to change a phrase. We need to change the phrase, blank doesn't work, to I haven't been able to make blank work. I think we should always change it. If somebody says blank doesn't work, it just means that they don't know that thing very well, or that they're not good enough at it, or they haven't put the time and effort into it. Tell me a tactic, and I'll show you an MSP that is incorporated into their strategy and it's working. Literally.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I just want to like rest on that for a second. Like, tell me a tactic. Anybody, literally anybody listening to this right now, you can throw any tactic out there. Maybe not Yellow Pages, and I'll show you an MSP that I personally talked to, that I'm personally friends with, that is incorporating it into their marketing strategy and it's working. So I know the first part of this podcast may have been a little bummer, like, oh my God, it's gonna be so much work and dedication. Yeah, but just understand, like, it's gonna work. Like, if you truly commit to even just a couple of things you want to do in your market and stay consistent with it, it's gonna work. Like, if you're gonna do just cold emails and events, that'll work. That'll work. If you want to double down on SEO, like really understand the nuances and just really drive the right traffic to your website, that'll work. It'll work.
Yeah, just know that your efforts aren't wasted. Yeah. Basically, I mean, it's all building towards something. It's just a matter of when it hits. And like you said earlier, I mean, once that hits, it pays for all the work you're doing previously and probably some months, a year before, honestly. Like, it's just getting that one. And it's easier to set more.
Yeah, 100%. It's the greatest fire under your ass when you start getting some results from marketing. Anecdote here from the channel side. It took us 5 months to get our Facebook ads working. All the while, I was spending like $3,000 a month with almost nothing to show for it.
I remember those early phases. We were just like, it's not working.
And we almost fell into the trap. We were almost like, God, do we just stop?
Yeah.
Do we just save this money?
We'd be saving a lot of money per month. Yeah.
Especially before when we didn't really have a budget. Like all of that was negative. All of that was negative when we first started.
Yeah.
But I just knew, I was like, no, I know this works. I was like, I know we're good at content. We're great at it. I was like, and I know Facebook ads really well. I was like, we just gotta figure out what hits.
Yeah. That one breakthrough.
Yep. And sure enough, we figured it out. And now it makes up almost 40% of our monthly growth is from Facebook ads. So here's the funny thing though. If we would have quit Facebook ads, I don't even think that would have been that big of a problem because I'm so obsessed with growth. I would have moved on to something else and probably would have figured that out.
Yeah, fine tune that portion.
Yeah. I mean, it would have sucked because it would have slowed things down and I might have quit that one too before moving on to another one. But my point is, like, because the core principle is I'm gonna fucking grow this thing, because that's my core driver, like it's going to grow, then it's almost, the tactic's almost irrelevant. Yeah, Facebook's working really well. That's accounting for a lot of our growth. But if tomorrow it broke, I'm not worried about it because we will figure out a way to growth because that's the core drive. So I think that's why I get back to like, just make sure you're going to grow your business and it will grow. Where your mind is where your energy goes. If your mind is on fucking tech stack and tools and what you're going to have for dinner and whatever, you're not going to grow your business. If your mind is on, I have to grow my business because I have a whale client that stresses me out, you're going to grow your business. If your mind is on like, okay, I just lost a client or I'm worried that more of my clients are going to get acquired, I have to get to 2 million within 2 years, you are going to get there. Like if that is your focus, the pieces will fall into place. So if that's anything I can tell you right now, it's so good that you're learning the tools and tactics and specifics in marketing. That is hyper important. Don't get me wrong. But the thing that we have to put as number one is our desire to grow the business. And if you're the marketing coordinator and you want your title to not be coordinator, you want it to be director because you got people under you one day, you got to grow. If you want to make more money, no matter what persona we're talking to right now, you got to grow. More money is almost always a good thing. It's almost always a good thing.
Wow.
I know, right? Mine, that is the insight of the week, of the year.
That's your bag.
It's your
Are we done with that? We're not doing bags anymore.
No, we need to bring the bag. That's your bag. No,
Maybe
seriously.
not.
Dude, I remember at Alltech, our shitty little warehouse. Sorry if Tom's listening. It was a shitty little warehouse, right? And like, we didn't do Christmas parties. I wasn't making much money at all. Everything was a grind to get approval. Everything was harder. Everything was harder because there just wasn't much money. And then we started to grow. And by the time I left Alltech, if I needed money for anything, it was approved. And we were in a sweet facility with a lot of employees to make the executives' life way easier. Like Tom could golf when he wanted to golf. He could leave the office when he wanted to leave the office. I remember early when I started, Tom was in the office every day. He was taking help desk tickets as the CEO of the MSP. So his life, while he was a business owner, was a little more stressful than when he had more employees, more clients, and more money. Everyone thinks, oh, a bigger company, that CEO must be stressed out. It's actually the opposite. It's the opposite. At MSP Camp, as we grow, like we can invest in cooler videos. We can invest in way more things, the Knowledge Lodge, paying people for courses, paying people more. Steven makes more. I make a little bit more. Like we all make more money now, right? More money is a good thing. It's not selfish. It's important. All right. So, any thoughts on that before we kind of move to wrap up?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know I was also thinking too, like it's so good that there are so many different paths to growth for like in the marketing sense. Cause like I understand like we're kind of like preaching like, oh, you should like do everything you can. But like sometimes like maybe an MSP just doesn't want to do cold calling. They know like that's not something they want to implement. We say you would, but or should. But I mean, say they don't want to do that. Maybe they don't love the direct mail piece, that sort of thing. It's fine because they can still pick 3 other marketing buckets to focus on. Maybe they're just going to do hyper focused on emails. We're going to make Facebook ads work, that sort of thing. And then you can take those paths. And as long as you're focused on that growth and like, it's the difference between setting up Facebook ads and just like clicking buttons and getting up there and just having it exist. The difference is like, I'm jumping into Facebook ads each day, figuring out what works. I'm tweaking it. Like it really is that like, if you're not obsessed with reaching that growth, you're not going to do that. You're going to set up the Facebook ads, let it run for a month, never look at it again, jump in after a month and say, oh, this is ridiculous for my ad spend. It's not working well, and turn it off. But otherwise, you'll be tweaking each time. I think that refers to basically any path you choose in marketing. I think that obsession really is a key to it.
Yep.
I'm not saying like you have to be like in a cold sweat every night, freaking out about it, but just like when you're in your office, when you get in for work, like you're dialed in on that goal. It's always in the back of your mind, and you're making sure that the hours you're spending on it are productive ones to actually further it.
100%. And as long as you have in your back of your mind that everything works.
Yeah, it's reassuring.
It is reassuring. It really is reassuring. Like, you know, just a little anecdote for how we're doing things. I know we just did the update last week again, so I'm not going to bore you with this stuff, but just showing you why we're doing this thought process. Like, we started with content. Because stop using shit content. Content is the most important aspect of a marketing strategy. It is. I know everyone preaches process, but you can have the best process in the world and the content sucks. It's not going to do anything. So we went hard on content. Then we went to websites. We make amazing websites. Then we moved to SEO. Now we have an amazing website that is driving organic traffic to the site that's going to be converting well. Great. Now we're moving to Google pay-per-click, which is going great, and Facebook ads, because now we need to drive even more people to the website, to a specific landing page, and we are dialed in on that right now. We are so hyper-focused on perfecting these 2 things because we already perfected the websites and SEO, right? Those things are rolling. Social media management is rolling. So now I get to focus a shitload of time on these next 2 initiatives, two quivers, 2 arrows for our quiver. When those 2 are done, great. We're hiring a CRM person right now that's going to then say, okay, we now have an amazing website. We've got amazing audience coming to the website. They're converting well. Great. Now we need someone on the CRM side to say, okay, leads are coming in. What happens next? So, okay, cool. We're gonna go through that process. Each of these phases take a lot of time. I tried doing it all at once like a year and a half ago, and I was like, too much, failed. Cool. Let's baby step it. Let me take my own advice. And then after that, okay, great. We know cold email works. Now that these processes are beautiful, working great, let's add cold email into the list. Let's make sure we put time and effort and incorporate into the rest of the aspects so we know that it's gonna work. Instead of trying to do instead of listing on our website that we do 30 fucking things that all suck, We get to list the 5 things that we're experts
excel at, yeah.
that we excel at. We know we put the time and energy in to get it right. And to me, yeah, that's a longer process. It takes way more time and money, but it's going to make clients happier. It's going to keep people there longer. I heard somewhere the marketing agencies average retention rates like 9 months. It's like 9 months. So that would be insane. Like if I had to do all of this effort to get a client on and they're going to leave in 9 months, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
What's the point? I don't want that. Not interested in that. So it requires us taking a super intentional approach. That is what I've learned after marketing all tech. I understand that it all works, but I need to make sure I'm doing it right and I'm doing it consistently. Did I just fuck up consistently?
That's so good.
That's how I ended that rant.
You were on a roll.
Oh no.
No, it's good.
Because
the point still stands.
Hopefully. They're like, oh,
maybe we'll
this
jump
guy
in.
had me and
AI
now I know
fix
he's
it.
an idiot. Because time in my face is literally red right now. Because time in the marketing beats timing the marketing. I can't say that enough. I hope we've thoroughly stressed the point to you in this video so far. And I hope this has been encouraging. I hope this has not been like, oh man, I don't know if I'm willing to commit. I hope it's like, you know what? This is the year I'm going to commit. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Anything on that, Stephen, before we wrap up?
Yeah, I was thinking of when you mentioned that, like, I think that's another piece that's reassuring where it's like you can add to that marketing mix when you're ready to. Like you can add in a piece of it. And it's honestly better to do that, to pick a few and then add in more once those are doing what you need them to do. Because like that example I just gave where it's like an MSP doesn't want to do cold calling and direct mail, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. They start with Facebook ads and email. They get those, a well-oiled machine. Those are converting leads over time. They're happy with it. There's a good chance that they will then say, oh, time for direct mail. Like they'll add in those things that they thought initially, oh, we're never going to do that. I mean, I remember we were talking like, when we first started, we were like, oh, I don't know if we'll ever do a CRM. The CRM is what I was thinking of earlier. Mm-hmm. We were like, oh, CRMs, it's just not going to work for us, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And now that we're getting other things moving, it's like, oh, we can add that in now comfortably rather than throwing it in right at the beginning. So it's just a nice, like, everything works, but you don't have to do everything at once. It really is good to pick those buckets and then expand whenever you're comfortable.
Yep. Goes back to the MSP marketing baby steps, you know? Mm-hmm. It's so true. Well, always remember, stay consistent. Don't give up. You're doing great, whoever you are. Like the fact that you're listening, that you're engaged, that you're listening to a 30-minute marketing podcast, like you're going to do great. You're going to do amazing. And as soon as it starts hitting, it's only going to give you the fuel you need to keep hitting. Well, really appreciate y'all listening again. Steve, I hope that was a good one for you. I hope you guys are enjoying your coffee. Drink one for me. I have not been getting a lot of sleep thanks to my 6-week-old baby. But he is officially smiling.
Oh, that's good.
So now there's some level of reciprocal.
Not just a potato, is he?
Yeah, he's not just a potato. Today he smiled. So there's that reciprocal. I'm putting all this effort in. We're putting all this effort in. And now we got something back other than poop. So it's good.
That's good. Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Steve, we're making sure to stay on the podcast more consistently. I forgot what you said.
Damn, I deserve that. That was great.
No, it made the whole segment better, I feel like.
Oh, gosh. All right, y'all. Well, appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one.
Yep. Thanks for listening. I'm watching.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you too. Bye, y'all.
Goodbye. For nobody stuck into the very end.